Welcome to NIBM Global Webinar. In this webinar, I am giving you some explanation about the repo rate. This repo rate, it is the rate which RBI announces through its monetary policy. Periodically, Reserve Bank of India announces repo rate, and this repo rate basically it is an interest rate. The repo rate is the interest rate at which Reserve Bank of India lend money to banks. So generally, a base rate is being established by RBI through this repo rate. So repo rate is the base rate on which banks will build up their interest rates. Repo rate has two implications for the banks. One, if the rate increases, bank will increase the deposit rate and also increase the interest rate on lending. So at present, the repo rate is 6.25%, and it has over a period of time since 2015 has come down by 1.75 basis points. That means in 2015 the repo rate was around 8%. So a repo rate from 8% to 6.25% means the interest rate at which RBI lends money to banks has come down. That means the cost of money has come down. So banks are also giving different interest rate based on the repo rates. So mainly, if you look at the immediate impact of repo rate, it reduces interest rate on lending. At present, the repo rate of 6.25% has brought down interest rate from 10% in 2015 to around 9%. That means a borrower is benefited by the reduced repo rate. It has also another disadvantage. The depositors, they are losing interest on their money deposited with the bank. So when a depositor deposit the money with the bank, now he is getting around 7% interest only, which was around 8 to 8.5% in 2015. So repo rate acts as the base rate on which banks are forming their prime lending rate. Prime lending rate is the PLR on which the banks give loans. The interest rate at which the banks are giving loans is PLR plus or minus. They are giving interest rates for the best borrower at PLR, and depending upon the risks bank will have to take, so the interest rate will go up from the PLR to a little bit higher rate for a person who is taking a not secured loan, which is not otherwise secured by its project, or the bank feels that there is some inherent risk in that loan. So the lending rate is not always on PLR. So PLR plus is applicable for loans which are not fully secured or is having a risk factor. So the present scenario, banks are having lot of funds with them. So banks are eager to lend money to borrowers. So what is the impact of a low repo rate? So low repo rate will reduce the interest rate, so it will be beneficial for investors. So investors all over India, they are looking for an opportunity when they can get money at a lower interest rate. So what is the impact of investors taking loans from the banks? So lot of investors will take the money from the banks for certain investment purpose, mainly to start a business or to start a factory. So some production is going to take place on account of these investments. So government is also benefited by low interest rate. Government can borrow a lot of money for its developmental process. So overall, when government or people borrow money from the bank for productive purpose, it will lead to some sort of production in the country. So if you look at our country, our growth rate is reported to be around 7.5% at present, which the government and the Reserve Bank of India expects to go up from 7.1 at present to around 7.5 in near future. So what does it mean? A lot of economic activity is going to happen in this country on the basis of a repo rate reduction. So most of the investors, and for that thing corporate world, the corporate world is very happy when the rate is reduced, so they can borrow funds at a lower rate and invest these funds for productive purposes. Indirectly, that will lead to employing lot of people, and lot of people again getting their salaries. That money is again coming to the market for purchases. So overall, a situation where people are spending money, investors are investing, the country is growing. So a lower repo rate, which appears to be a very simple microeconomic factor, is giving a lot of opportunity for a country to develop. So the government and Reserve Bank of India has been watching the situation and was eager to reduce the interest rates. So repo rate has come down. So why the government and RBI could do it is because the inflation in this country has come down. At present, the inflation rate is around 5.1%, which is one of the lowest inflation rates in the current decade. So the comfort level for RBI or the government is 4% inflation, which can go up to 6%. And on the lower side, inflation should not go below 2%. What will happen if inflation is very low? If inflation is very low, that means money supply will be restricted or people will not be willing to spend money. So money supply should be within an acceptable level. So unless money is with the people, people will not be able to spend. Unless people spend money, we will not be able to utilize the money for development purpose. So people should spend money, the bank should accept money, and the interest rate should be at a comfortable level. If the interest rate is at a lower level, then everybody would like to purchase something on credit. Households will try to buy a new car at a lower rate. Then households will like to purchase a new flat or build a house, because housing interest rates are lower. So overall economic activity in a country will gallop if the interest rates are low. So Reserve Bank of India and the government are collectively monitoring the repo rate, and Reserve Bank announces the repo rate through its monetary policy, and the monetary policy decisions are on the recommendations of a monetary policy committee which is headed by the Reserve Bank governor, and it has other eminent economists in its committee. The committee consists of 6 important personalities headed by Reserve Bank of India governor, its deputy governor, 1 ED, and 3 other eminent economists. Because this monetary policy committee, it is a new committee formed recently, and the first recommendations of monetary policy committee came during the monetary policy announcement of Reserve Bank of India, which was announced on October 5th, 2016. So October 5th announcement of the new monetary policy also saw the impact of monetary policy committee. So Reserve Bank of India has given some explanation why they have reduced repo rate. So some of the major reasons are inflation is very low, and our corporate sector are eager to invest more if the interest rate is low. So interest rate has been reduced to improve the growth scenario in this country. So the repo rate has advantage on the part of the government, on the part of the production scenario, on the part of investment scenario. Now let us have a look at the disadvantages of a lower interest rate. So mainly lower interest rate affect people who invest money with the bank or who deposit money with the bank in fixed interest rates. So fixed interest rates will come down, or rate on fixed deposits will come down if the repo rate is reduced. There are a group of people, like people who are retired and invested their entire savings on bank deposits. Such people will feel that the reduction in repo rate affects their life. How? These people have deposited the money with the bank, and any reduction in the interest rate will bring them less interest. What does it mean? That means they get very less money for their day-to-day expenditures, because most of the money they earned during their lifetime they have invested in banks as deposit, and if the interest rate is coming down, the monthly earning or the quarterly earning which the senior citizens get from their deposits with the bank will come down. That means they will be hard pressed to spend more when their expenditure are increasing mainly on medical grounds and other essential goods price increase, etc. These people are finding it difficult to spend more money because they don't get more money from their interest incomes. So interest has a two-way action. So interest rate, when it is increasing, depositors are happy because they get more interest rate. but investors are unhappy because they have to give more interest on their borrowings. So the government has taken a very considered view in reducing repo rate, because majority of the people feel that through investments more and more jobs are created, people get more job, people are more happy when there are more jobs, people are happy to work, and the money will come again, this money will come as savings will again go as investment, and the investment will create more jobs. So it is a vicious circle where people get jobs, then they save a portion of their salary, those savings are being invested, so the country make an overall progress through this sort of low interest rate regime. That means investments are likely to increase when the interest rates are low. However, if you ask whether the entire benefit of repo rate reduction has been passed on to the borrower, I would say no. Why? Because when a 0.25% reduction is announced or cut is announced in the repo rate, only 0.10% is transmitted to the borrowers. So this repo rate announcement and this reduction of interest rate by banks, it is called monetary transmission. So monetary transmission somehow is not at par with the expected lines of the government. Government time and again has been ensuring the borrowers that they will force banks to accept repo rate, and this monetary transmission should be fast. However, monetary transmissions are not taking place immediately, and the entire benefits are not going to the borrowers through monetary transmission. So the effect of repo rates are everywhere. So price of commodities, generally if the interest rates are low, so borrowing rates will be low, so industries can borrow at a lower rate, so their overall cost of production will come down, so they can to certain extent reduce the price of their products. Every industry will try to reduce the price of their product, because a reduction in the price will lead to added demand. Added demand means more production for the company and overall development. So more investment will also lead to increase of opportunities for the unemployed. The job market will be widened. Again, if you look at the equity markets also react favorably when the interest rates are low or when the repo rates are cut. The recent cut in repo rate has made some welcome note in the equity market. The equity market, the Sensex has come down marginally by around, the Sensex has gone up marginally by around 100 points. That means the investors are finding that the rate cut will spur production and the companies will be doing better.